Alright, so now we're going to talk about setting up the band station. It's actually really simple. You'll have 4 decks: the woodwinds, the brass, the strings, and the percussion. You're just going to shuffle each one of these decks and place them on top of the player mat, like so. Once you do that, you are going to take the top card in the woodwind section. You're going to flip it over, you're going to place it over here, and then you're going to take the top card in the brass section, flip it over, and put it there. That indicates your song cue. The one that's at the top is the song that you are currently trying to play. The song on the bottom is the song that is next in line. Okay, so now we're going to go into a turn for the band. This is your dance floor, and these are the patrons that are on the dance floor. This gentleman here has been on the dance floor the longest, and she has been on there the least. So when you move folks off the dance floor and onto their next station, you're going to want to do this in order. So he should be the next person to move off the dance floor, and so on, so on, and so on. Again, we have over here your songs that you are trying to play. This is the top song. So you're currently trying to play this song. This will be the next one on your next turn that you're trying to play. At the start of the band turn, you are going to look at the song you're trying to play. In this case, I am playing a song that is in the key of E flat. And that's noted in this little flavor text here. You can also tell by the symbols of sharps or flats that are on the card. I'm also trying to play a song in the time signature of 7/4. You do not need to pay attention to the bottom number. Just ignore that. The only number that you need to pay attention to is the one at the top. In this case, it is 7. What that indicates is that I need to play 7 beats or 7 points for each patron that's on the dance floor to move them off. So I would need 7 points for this guy, 7 points for this guy, and so on. The note that's shown here when you're looking at your song cue, you can ignore. You don't even need to pay attention to that. So again, on your song cue, just pay attention to the key signature and the time signature. And to keep the game pretty simple, we have chosen to keep the key signatures rather to just key of A and the key of E flat. The decks here are weighted so that when you look at the song that you're trying to play, you'll probably want to pick from certain decks. This side right here, these are going to be primarily your E flats. These two cards here, these are going to be primarily your key of A. And this deck, the woodwinds, these are going to be primarily your whole notes. These are going to be primarily your half notes, primarily the quarter notes, and primarily eighth notes. So you'll want to pull accordingly. So at the start of my turn, I am going to grab 4 cards. And I can pull the 4 cards in any way I want to. The only thing I cannot do is pull more than 3 from a single deck. So we'll pull this right here, since I am trying to play 7/4. So here are the cards that I pulled. And on the cards that I pull and I keep in my hand, you're going to be looking at a little bit of some different information than this. In this case, you're actually not going to pay attention to the time signature. You can actually ignore that on the cards that are in your hand. What you are going to be looking for is the key signature, whether it's E flat or key of A, and then the actual note itself. In this case, this little symbol here, that is a whole note, and based on that, you can see that a whole note equals 4 beats. So again, we need 7 beats for a single patron. Here's 4 of those 7 beats. Here is an eighth note. I know that that's half a beat. A quarter note, which happens to be 1 beat, and a half note is 2 beats. So altogether here I have 4 and a half, 5 and a half, 7 and a half. I actually have enough beats to play 1 patron off the dance club, or off the dance floor. So what I can do is, here's 4, here's 5, 6, and here is 7. and I can take this card that I won't be using and move it off to the side. I'll just keep that and to my next turn. Anything that you have in your hand can roll over if you don't use it. So now I'm going to align all 7 of these beats to this one patron. I do need to look at the key signature. That's important. So the song that we are trying to play is in the key of E flat. On these cards I have key of E flat, and then this one happens to be the key of A. So what this means is I am playing one note, this note right here, out of key. So when I play this patron off, I have to play one note out of key, meaning I need to remove one wooden nickel from any patron that's currently on the dance floor. I can choose which patron I want it to come off of. So I'm going to remove wooden nickels, however many wooden nickels as ever many bad notes that I play. So if I were to have to play 2 bad notes to move a patron off, or 2 notes out of key, I would have to remove 2 wooden nickels. So if I was to keep it like this, I'm going to take these cards, they get discarded, he moves on to the next station. This song, oh, I got to remove that one wooden nickel. This song has now been satisfied. You have played it, so it gets discarded along with those other cards. This now moves up into your top song, so that's going to be the next song you play in your next turn. And then this is a string. So the way this works is you're going to pull the next card to move down here into the queue. So it goes woodwinds, brass, strings, percussion. So this is a strings, so the next one would be percussions. And so then that gets flipped over and put right there. So now on my next turn I'm going to be playing a 5-4, and on the following turn I'm going to be trying to play a 3-4 time signature. Okay, we're going to touch up on another scenario here. In this example, I'm going to show you what happens when you play out of key as well as play off tempo. So, start of my turn. I'm going again to look at the top song that I'm playing. I am playing a song in the key of A, and I'm playing the song in 5-4, so I need 5 beats for every patron. Alright, so let's start by pulling our 4 cards. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull 1 card from each deck. What that means is that I am playing in unison. I am utilizing every station in the band to play a certain song. When you play in unison, you gain 1 wooden nickel to apply to anyone that's on the dance floor. So I could apply it to this gentleman right here. Keep in mind, you do have to stay within the 3 wooden nickels per patron limit. So I played in unison. If I look at my deck here, I have a whole note, another whole note, another whole note, and then an 8th note. So here's 4 beats, here's 4 beats, 4 beats, and a half of a beat. So I have a total of 12 and a half beats. I need 5 for each patron. So I could do this, for example. Since this is 4, I could apply to this guy, but I still need 1 beat in order to move him off. So what I could do is, we could look at it like this. I have a total of 12 beats right here, so I could apply this to these 2 right here. 12 beats, I need a total of 10 to move 2 patrons off. So what this means here is I can move these 2 gentlemen off by just playing these 2 notes right here. I'm sorry, these 3 notes rather. I have 8, I need 10. So I need to apply all 3 of these rather, because that's 12. I need to apply all 3 of these notes to move 2 patrons off. When doing so, I am playing off tempo. Since I need a total of 10 beats, I have 12. I am playing 2 beats over what I should be playing. So for every beat that I play over, I need to remove a wooden nickel from one of the patrons that are on the dance floor. So 2 beats over means two wooden nickels gone. Again, if any of these were off in the wrong key signature, you need to look at that as well. This is key of E flat, this is key of E flat, that's key of A, So I'm playing 2 notes also out of key in order to do this. So not only would I have lost the 2 wooden nickels for playing 2 over the tempo, I would have to lose 2 wooden nickels for playing 2 notes off key as well. So, alright. And the same rules apply here with direction the patrons move. Again, pay attention to those little diamonds there. He would move in this direction if you were to move him off, and this patron right here would actually end up going in this direction back to the doorman station, meaning that person is going home, and if that person were to go home, you would gain all the wooden nickels that are remaining on that patron, and those would go into your club coffers. So off this patron, you just made $3 in profit. Okay, so now we're going to run over a different scenario here. The band has the option of playing a melody. So when you play a melody, you get to add wooden nickels to the patrons that are on the dance floor. And it does count as playing the top song that's in your queue, so it will satisfy that as well. When you decide to play a melody, what you are going to be looking for on your top song is you're going to be looking at the actual note itself and where it resides on the musical staff. So we're going to ignore the time signature, we're going to ignore the key signature. All you're going to be paying attention to is the note. And in this example here, this is a C note. And for those of you who don't know how to read music, we do have a graph or a little diagram here that tells you what the notes are. So, this is my hand, and let's say I've already pulled my 4 cards at the start of my turn. These 4 cards here were rolled over from my previous turn, so essentially this is kind of like deck collecting, and anything you don't use rolls over. So, in my hand right now, I'm going to be looking for notes that are C notes. I have, let's see, I have, this is a C note, that's a C note, and this is a C note. So I have 3 C notes. So, for every note that I play over the first one, I gain a wooden nickel. So here's the first C note I'm going to play, here's the second C note, and the third C note. So I would gain a wooden nickel for this one and that one, not the first one though. So, 2 wooden nickels, and I can apply those to any patrons that are on my dance floor. Again, you still have to abide by the 3 wooden nickels per patron limit. Then I would discard those. I would discard my top song, as it does qualify for playing your song. Move up, and then the next card comes down. And then that is your turn. No patrons move off the dance floor, but nobody loses tokens either, because they're having fun dancing. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about another scenario here, and that is the maximum dance floor size. The dance floor is only so big, and only so many patrons can actually be on the dance floor dancing at the same time before it gets way too crowded and you start bumping elbows and all that other kind of stuff. So, the maximum size of your dance floor fits 5 patrons. So these right here are fine. These 2 are, it's crowding the dance floor. So at the end of your band's turn, if you have more than 5, you have to push patrons that have been on the dance floor there the longest off and onto its next station. But there is a penalty for doing so. Every time you push somebody off, they lose a wooden nickel because they weren't ready to leave the dance floor. They were having fun. So you're having to go in there and force them off. So let's say in this example, I was unable to play a song. I could not play that song and I didn't move anybody off, and it is now the end of the band's turn. These 2 would have to be forced off. He would move, and this one would move, and they'd go in their respective directions. But for doing so, they each lose a wooden nickel for being forced off, and the line moves down, and you are now again you have ended with 5 patrons on the dance floor. Okay, now we're going to go over a couple of the special rules for the band. We're going to talk a little bit about celebrities, and we're going to talk about the patrons that are considered the nuisance for that particular station. So, first we'll start with the celebrity. When a celebrity enters the dance floor, However many tokens that are currently on that celebrity, you get to apply to your patrons. This celebrity is coming into the dance floor with 3 wooden nickels. So I get to grab 3 wooden nickels and apply them to any of the patrons that are currently on that dance floor as well, because they are so excited that they are actually at the same station as one of the celebrities. So I'll go ahead and apply those to the patrons. Again, you do have to adhere to the 3 wooden nickels per patron limit. If they are all maxed out, then unfortunately you don't get to take advantage of those 3 wooden nickels. I should also mention that this is a one-time thing. It doesn't happen at the start of each turn. It's just only when the celebrity enters that station. The next patron we're going to talk about is the nuisance. For the band, the nuisance one is Robert Martin. He is the jitterbug, or the Oliver Twist, or however you want to refer to him as. But they are, or this person, this gentleman, Robert, he is going to remain at the band once he gets there. He will not leave the dance floor. He wants to dance all night long. And so, as let's say you're playing and you're able to move these patrons on to the next station, Robert is just going to follow down in line, and once he gets to the front of the line, he is going to stay there. He is always going to occupy a space on the dance floor. So as new ones come in, he's just going to stay there, and when you move the next patron off, you're going to have to move this gentleman. You will not attempt to move this person off. So you'll start like that. All right. Let's say, for example, you've been pulling cards primarily from the woodwinds. You really like the woodwinds. And so at the start of the next turn, you pull these 2 cards, and now there are no more cards left in the woodwinds to pull from on the following turn. What that means is the woodwind station, you will take all the woodwind cards, you will shuffle them, and you will take that entire station and you will move them to the bar. Essentially, they are taking 5. And they will be at the bar until the bartender can serve them a drink. Once they have been served a drink, then they can come back, reshuffled, and put right back on top of their respective spot. Another thing that you can do with the band is you can hire staff and you can purchase upgrades. They are essentially in-game bonuses to help your station. As you receive as you gain more profits and as you have a surplus of cash, you can purchase these things throughout the game, and they will benefit, and you'll see which ones will apply to the band. They'll have the little musical staff there. You'll know that those apply to the band and they benefit the band only. Okay, and last but not least, I want to talk about pulling. On the very beginning of your turn, you're going to pull those 4 cards. You do have the option to pull up to a maximum of 6, but so for every card you pull over 4, you are essentially going to add patrons to the dormant queue. So if I pull 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, for those 5 and 6 that I'm pulling, 2 new patrons are going to enter the the dormant queue. So be careful when doing so. Make sure the dormant is caught up and can handle the 2 extra patrons. The reason we do that is because you are playing more of the band, you are playing louder. And as you play louder, the music will spill into the streets. And when it spills into the streets, people get curious and they want to know what's going on. It looks like a good time, so they're going to come to your club. So, the only time that you cannot pull more than 4 is when there are no more patrons in the patron deck at the dormant station. Once the dormant station is empty on that patron draw deck, you no longer have the option to pull more than 4. You must stay at 4 maximum.